Hello, and welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. If you are returning, and welcome if you are new, I am your host, Shanice, and this is your transit talk for the week of April the 21st to the 27th, 2024. So, this week we have the full moon in Scorpio, and basically, the full moon is the culmination or the peak point of the lunar cycle or the month. Basically, each month we go through a death and rebirth process. And I'm talking about this because the full moon is represented by not only Mars in traditional astrology, but in modern astrology, this full moon's ruler is Pluto. So that's all about the rebirth cycle. Pluto is the planet that I like to look at as the phoenix. I don't know if you guys are familiar with X-Men, Dr. Jean Grey, but I like to look at Pluto like her as the phoenix. So every month we have this process where we are shedding some sort of skin or like dead weight. And shout out to Colleen from Neurospicy Astrology here on YouTube, or over on YouTube. She talks about the moon cycle being like the snake shedding its skin. And that's basically what each month is symbolic of. So if you can think back to the solar eclipse, I had a brain fart. If you can think back to the solar eclipse that happened on April the 8th, it was forming a conjunction with Chiron. So this was a very triggering eclipse. This was also potentially an eclipse that highlighted some sort of wound that you need to work on, some sort of like area in your life where you need to be more confident and show up more courageous. That is what this solar eclipse potentially showed you on April the 8th. So that was the beginning of this new moon phase. I know that it wasn't the beginning of the eclipse season, but it was the beginning of the month's lunar cycle. So this was the starting point of what we were beginning to shed or what we need to work through this month. I'll give you an example. I like to use my life as an example so that you can reflect on your own. For me, this has been about authority in my life, not only the authority around me, like the people that I look up to, but the authority within myself, like standing up for myself, reparenting myself. Because if you aren't familiar with my background, both of my parents were absent in my life. So I raised myself. Me and my siblings, we always talk about, like, when we do come together, we talk about how it was like living in the house on the Real World on MTV growing up. Like, we were siblings, but we weren't like we weren't raised to, you know, stand up for each other like siblings typically do. We weren't raised to be family. We were raised to kind of like be enemies in a way. And so, like, that has been my whole life. I have been, you know, correcting that. Like, I've never been the type of sibling towards my siblings. Like, and I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect, but I've never been the type to like turn my back on my siblings. And lately I've been turning my back on them because of the abuse that I've been through. I've realized that, the way that we were raised, and I was in some form of like people pleasing for so long, for my entire life. It wasn't up until 2022 I started to like shed the skin of people pleasing. And this month has been me stepping into my own authority. Not only that, but like, it's been scary because my dad, the beginning of the eclipse season, my dad was admitted or rushed to the hospital, and he almost passed away. And then by the first quarter moon phase, of this moon cycle, my dad was rushed back to the hospital. Like, my siblings and my grandmother, his mother, and like his siblings had made the decision to send him to the nursing home after his first stay at the hospital, like during the first eclipse in Libra. So that was March the 25th. So the beginning of eclipse season for my dad has been like his health. He's been, threatening to, not be here anymore in so many words. And that's been, part of my eclipse cycle as well, my lunar cycle. So this has been very scary for me. I have not slept since April the 12th. Like maybe I slept like 4 hours here and there, given each day, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know. The days have been running together. I had not planned on recording this episode. That's why you guys are getting this so late, because I was like, should I record it? Should I not record it? So much has been going on, but there is so much that I want to say as well. So I say all of that to say, think about what this month has shown you. What fears have come up for you? What things that the universe, your higher power, your God has been telling you to get comfortable with? What shadows have they been telling you, or him, whoever your higher power is? What have they been telling you to get comfortable with? Because this full moon today is about befriending your shadows and starting some shadow work. If you haven't, for me, I have been working and doing shadow work since 2022. And I feel like this full moon is reaching a peak in that phase of my life. Like I'm starting to see the hard work pay off. I'm starting to finally feel confident in my gifts, in my ability, especially when it comes to astrology. Um, I made a prediction last week about Beyonce, and it was messy, low key. I'm not even gonna lie, it was about tea, because I was unsure what was gonna be announced or what she was going to release, but I knew like something was going to be released last week going into this week potentially. And she released a Get Ready With Me, and I said in February she was going to do a Get Ready With Me, and I forgot about that. If I would have thought about that prediction in February, I would have made that prediction last week on the podcast, but I had totally forgot about the prediction I made in February. But we saw her do a Get Ready With Me, we saw her real hair. And it's so funny because I heard that she was a Libra rising, and now I believe it. I thought she was an Aries rising, but I believe she's a Libra rising, because Venus formed a conjunction with Chiron in Aries, which was, I believe, forming an opposition with her Mercury or Saturn or something like that. I can't remember. But it was talking to her natal chart, her first house. Allegedly her first house. Allegedly. Like it's a crime or something. But anyway, so she's a Libra rising. Venus formed a conjunction with Aries. This was very triggering or vulnerable for her to do. Like she was being a little bit vulnerable. So we appreciate that, Beyonce. However, as an astrologer, if you are listening to this girl, because I used to work for your sister, I know her people be listening to my stuff sometimes, low key. But anyway, um, my advice as an astrologist is I would tell you to speak up more about what's going on, like within the world economically, with what's going on politically. I know that's kind of scary given like the past, with our past leaders and those that we look up to, like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and people like Fred Hampton, who spoke up about certain things that most people were afraid to. I know that it's scary, but we are living in 2024. And I believe that your influence can really shape the way that people view themselves. Like if you can speak up more about people loving themselves. I know you do it, um subliminally, I guess, in music and whatever, through your art, but if you can just clearly speak out about what's going on in the world and like inspire people to build community, inspire people to look within and heal their traumas, do that shadow work, like not be so egocentric. It's okay to have a big ego, but like balance it. And that's something I made a video on TikTok yesterday talking about her Venus conjunct Pluto. You have the power to influence balancing the Venus energy within all of our lives, how we view ourselves, how we view our inner beauty. And like it's big shoes to fill, but I really, really like, I'm hoping and praying that she listens to this. Somebody on her team, her sister's team, or somebody. I'm for real. Like, I know me and a few people on her team, her sister's team ain't cool, whatever. But like, I'm being for real, y'all. Like, I just want to save the planet. I want all of us to live together, even if we are beefing. I don't care. I ain't got no beef with nobody personally. I said what I said and I moved on, and that's how I felt. And if you don't like it, that's something you're gonna have to deal with. But all I can do is pray that you forgive me, and I pray that you know, forgive yourself, because me and you both aren't perfect. To like, that's how I view anything in life. Like, I'm not about to sit here and hold a grudge. I think what kind of side note, I think what confuses people about me, and like, I get this a lot too, and I want to speak up about this. I get this a lot, that my energy is weird, or I give off mean girl energy, or like I give off some sort of dark energy. I want to let y'all know that, um, yes, I do have dark energy. We all do. And what you're feeling is your shadows, your demons, because I can only be myself, and how I move in the world is how I am. I'm not out here trying to be malicious. I'm not out here trying to hurt nobody. If I see something that's not right, I'm going to speak up about it. Blame my chart ruler Mars. She loves conflict. And you know, I try not to be, I don't like to be a confrontational person, or I don't like to cause conflict, but there is so much fucked up shit going on in the world that so many people like just gloss over. And I cannot live my life staying silent about the things that I see. I don't care if you are Beyonce. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. I don't care if you are Michael Jackson. I don't care if you are Jesus Christ. If I see something wrong that does not align with the betterment of the collective, I'm going to speak up about it. Period, point blank. And I think that rubs people the wrong way. It's not me, it's the truth that rubs people the wrong way. Got a little sidetracked, back to the podcast episode. But yes, so this lunar cycle kicked off with an eclipse that happened in a sign that is these so it's a sign that symbolizes, getting a little tongue tied, a sign that symbolizes a fresh start, a new beginning on the fool's journey, Aries. This is the astrological new year. So this full moon is about befriending the dark energy within yourself, befriending um the fears that hold you back. It's allowing us to take control of our lives, take control of who we are. I was so afraid to make predictions about celebrities and like talk about Beyonce. I was so afraid, y'all. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because first of all, I don't even, I struggle with if I want to even be viral or well known. I struggle with so many different things. I just struggle with being perceived, and like, people projecting so much onto me because of the things that I've been through in my life. But this lunar cycle for me has been me stepping out of that fear and just being me, like, which is what Aries and what Scorpio is all about. Both of them are ruled by Mars. Just being authentic. Aries and Mars, or Aries and Scorpio, are ruled by Mars. Mars is the energy of defensiveness, and it likes to cause conflict when necessary. But I find within our lives, like within society, the world as a whole, so many people have unbalanced energy within. Whether you want to say that's mental health issues, you want to say that's a spiritual issue, you want to say it's an astrological issue. Face the issue is what this lunar cycle is trying to get us all to see. And I'm just gonna get into the week. I'm gonna get into the full week starting on Sunday, even though I am uploading this on Tuesday. I'm going to start the full the full week because astrology is about looking at the bigger picture. Read your birth chart like it's a clock, okay? Um because it is. Life is cyclical. We are all on time, on some sort of time. So look at your birth chart, approach it as if it is a clock because the degrees matter, the planets matter, the aspects matter, everything matters. Um, so let's get into the week. This week, we have the moon signs Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. Of course, we start the week off with the moon in Libra, or we started the week off with the moon in Libra. And that's all about focusing on balancing your inner world, your relationships. And it's also us being social, more social, and us trying to be more diplomatic and fair minded within our own emotions and and the energy around us. Like that's honestly, that's the higher expression of Libra. Okay. Like being balanced and trying to, be diplomatic and fair because Saturn, the truth planet, the planet that represents the truth, is exalted in Libra, balancing those scales. So that is what the moon is trying to get us to do or try to get us to do. Um, while it was in Libra, shout out to the moon being in Libra, forming a conjunction with the South Node. That is exactly when Beyonce released her Get Ready With Me. Girl, I clocked it. And so it's a time to reflect on your values and how you align with your values. And so sis uploaded her Get Ready With Me. And that was a very vulnerable moment for her. But I also, like I said, I want to offer some advice. That ain't what Saturn trying to get you to do too. Sis. That's trying to get you to do more than that. But she's on the right track. And so then we have the moon entering Scorpio on Tuesday, where it will form a square with Pluto, the planet of dark, dirty little secrets. If you don't remember anything, remember, if you don't remember anything else, remember that Pluto represents dark, dirty little secrets, okay? So it's like trying to be Inspector Gadget and trying to get to like the bottom of it. It can also represent dark energy in other people. It represents death as well. So with the moon squaring Pluto, this is potentially a brush with some sort of death in our lives, some sort of like situation that needs to die in our lives. And it's asking us to embrace the transformation process, release anything that does not serve you, and trust your intuition. Tap into it a lot more and tap into your inner strength. It's also with the moon being in Scorpio, asking us to be more vulnerable. The Scorpio moon, people talk about Scorpio moons not trusting people, which is true. As a Scorpio moon, I probably won't ever trust anybody, but I will always open myself up to being vulnerable. And I find that with males who have Scorpio moons, if they don't work through their shadows, they have a trouble with being vulnerable. So that's the issue with the Scorpio moons. If you find yourself feeling uncomfortable on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's probably because you are avoiding some sort of vulnerability within yourself. You are avoiding looking at the truth potentially. So yeah, that's what the Scorpio moon is telling us. And then we have the moon moving into fun, um, truth seeking, passion seeking, open minded Sagittarius. And this is where we will start to embrace the new opportunities for growth, new experiences. We might have a more optimistic outlook on certain things and where we will begin to see the bigger picture by the end of the week. So that's like Thursday night going into Saturday. We are we are more open-minded when the moon is in Sagittarius, and we are more flexible to challenges. So when I think of the moon being in Sagittarius, I think of adapt and overcome. Like that. And it's funny that I say that because that's my ninth house. That's my belief. Like if you meet resistance, adapt and overcome. Ninth house energy. Sagittarius in the ninth house energy for me. But overall, the moon signs of this week is asking us to stay true to ourselves, honor our emotions and vulnerability throughout the week. Um, and also remain optimistic. So trust your wisdom, look for the wisdom if you are meeting obstacles, if you are having some sort of challenge this week, look for the wisdom in those challenges. So let's get into each day. I'm not going to go specifically into each aspect because I don't want to confuse anybody, but we're just going to talk about the vibe for each day. And so on Sunday, the moon was in Libra, and that's when we had like Venus talking to Chiron, and then the sun in newly in Taurus talking to Pluto in Aquarius. This is when we saw Beyonce release her Get Ready With Me. And that is like her doing that is honestly perfect example of the energy of Sunday. You know, typically very secretive, really don't have much to prove, but you know, she's trying to sell a hair care line. She's trying to appear more human, you know, appear more relatable. That is what Sunday's energy is about, like revealing a wound, being more vulnerable, working with our shadows, working with our vulnerability. So, this was definitely something that potentially was uncomfortable for us to acknowledge, but this was the beginning of us seeing the shadow, like seeing the monster that has been hiding underneath the bed. Um, that's what Sunday revealed to us, along with us trying to balance that. Like it's probably like a Sunday to me. When I think about Sunday's energy, it's like a boo, like a scare, and it's like, I want to run, but you can't run away. It's like, nope, where are you gonna go? And then we get into Monday. Yesterday we had the moon in Libra all day. And it was this time it was talking to Mercury and Venus, and it was forming an opposition. So this is dueling opposite energy. This is trying to find balance, but also seeing that you may probably be the problem. You might be the problem, and recognizing that you might need to change some sort of issue. And also Monday was about self acceptance. Seeing the issue or the root to the problem, and um accepting your place in that. That's what Monday, um I'm sorry if I keep saying to y'all. That's what Monday symbolized or was for us. And now we get into today, Tuesday, the moon entering Scorpio. So with the moon entering Scorpio, the sun squared Pluto on Sunday. So the sun is represented by the father. It's the energy. My bad, y'all. Y'all heard my robot. But the sun is the energy that likes to be the hero. It wants to shine the light. Sometimes the sun thinks that it's doing the right thing, but really it's not, like, and that's okay. You know, it's okay when you're not doing the right thing. I want to say that again. It's okay to acknowledge that you might be the problem. And I'm also talking to myself as well. Sometimes, I have a Venus in Virgo. Sometimes I can be the Debbie Downer. Like I looked at my TikTok this week and I was like, yo, I don't have much like upbeat content. I need to have more upbeat content. That's Venus in Virgo, like always seeing the issue in a problem or seeing the issue in a situation and trying to correct it when you should sometimes just be trying to enjoy the moment. So that's something that I had to look at within myself. Because on Sunday I'm thinking, well, I shouldn't do the podcast. It wouldn't be a good idea for me to do the podcast. I'm not, in the right headspace, um, saying things like that to myself. But then today, the moon entering Pluto, squaring the moon, the mother, the intuition, entering, not Pluto, entering Scorpio, squaring Pluto, is me posting this and like, you know what? Me being the nurturing, motherly energy that I have in my chart, wanting to share the advice and what I see in the cosmos, and, seeing so many people going through certain things on social media, wanting to help and give my advice. Because this is how, for me, this is how I contribute to the collective. This is how I share my gifts to the collective, by sharing my astrological insight, in hopes that you see yourself in this and how you can align with the better expression of your astrological energy, or the higher expression of yourself. So that's something that I noticed. I hope all of that made sense, but that's something that I noticed from the sun squaring Pluto on Sunday and the moon squaring Pluto today, the father and the mother, within myself. So I like to say too that this life is honestly just reparenting yourself every day, paying attention to the sun and the moon, the father and the mother within. So that's Monday, was recognizing that you may have some play, or some, not play, some part in the problem, and accepting that. And Tuesday is working through that. Going into Tuesday is working through that and incorporating those shadows and ooh, my voice cracking. Excuse me. Working over, or working through those shadows or fears, and incorporating that into our consciousness. And it's also overcoming a roadblock. So Tuesday is all about overcoming a roadblock, potentially having a blind spot illuminated with the full moon being on Tuesday. And so then we get into Wednesday, where the moon will talk harmoniously to Saturn. So this looks like a potentially productive day. This is us seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Saturn, whenever the moon is talking to Saturn, or whenever Saturn is involved, this is karma. So this is the consequences to our actions. Every time the moon talks to Saturn, it's like, well, the consequences to our actions. Think of it like that every month. So whatever you've been implementing, whatever you've been doing, the moon on Wednesday will either reward you or punish you. I hate to say it that way, but it is what it is. It will reward or punish you. It will reprimand you for whatever you've been doing. But at the end of the day, you will see what you need to work on, and then you will begin to see the finish line, or the light at the end of the tunnel. And then we get into Thursday, the 25th. We have Mercury, our intellect, the way that we move and communicate, the way that we just can like flow through life, socialize through life, stationing direct. So Mercury, when it goes retrograde, basically from an Earth view, it appears to be going backwards. So from where you are standing on Earth, if you look at a telescope and you just observe Mercury's movement, it will appear to be going backwards. And that's all that Mercury retrograde symbolizes. It symbolizes a time in our lives where we need to reflect on the things that we've been working on up until the point that it stations retrograde. So you don't really need to be working on anything new while it's going retrograde or stationing retrograde. You just need to be reflecting and correcting. And on Thursday, the correction period is pretty much over. Reflection and correction is over, because Mercury will be stationing direct. We still will be having some like traces of, retrograde energy that we need to work through. But overall, the reflection and correction period is over. We can now start to work on new projects and new things. And on Thursday, we have the moon forming a lot of aspects to energy in Taurus and in Pisces. So Thursday, some sort of truth is being revealed, some sort of uncomfortable truth, or some sort of liberating truth is being revealed. And we are ending the lunar cycle, or we're stepping into the final quarter moon phase. We are entering into that chapter of the lunar cycle. So we'll start to finally see some movement. And we could probably see some threat to our sense of stability, feeling a bit uncomfortable. But on Thursday, you will either begin to feel more confident, or less confident, depending on your situation. But try to remain optimistic, because the moon also will enter Sagittarius. It's funny that I'm saying it. The moon will enter Sagittarius. So try to remain optimistic if you do start to see some sort of challenge on Thursday, some sort of threat to your stability on Thursday. And then we're going to get into Friday, where the moon will be void. So the moon basically is not making or forming any aspects or major aspects to any of the other planets in the sky. So this is a day to kind of like catch your breath. It's a good day to complete some tasks or some chores, some errands that you've been putting off. This is a good day to catch up. Um, Funny that Mercury is stationing direct the day before, because this is literally Friday is a day where we can finally like see something, not see something, but like catch up on some things that we've been kind of putting off, or work on some things that we've been putting off. On Friday too, I would advise, if you are feeling a bit uncomfortable, if this week has been very challenging for you, talk to your loved ones, talk to people who understand you. If you can, have a therapy session. But Friday is a day to take it slow. Take it slow, do some self-care, treat yourself on Friday. I don't know if y'all can hear my cats. I have to put them in the room when I'm recording, because not both of them are terrible or like active, but one of them is like super, super active, and she be going all crazy when I'm trying to work. So I had to put her in the room. So if you hear her banging on the door, don't think she's hurt. She's not. She's just being dramatic, okay? But on Saturday, we have a bit of a challenge from Saturn when we are sleeping. We have the moon talking to Saturn and Mercury. So we could potentially feel a little bit lost or uncertain. But my advice on Saturday is to focus on the present. Bring that self care energy from Friday into Saturday. Listen to your intuition. And if you feel a bit like all over the place, or you feel like, you know, a bit uneasy, try to pick up a new hobby. Work on something that you've been wanting to master, like learn a new language or something, like crochet, start a new workout routine. But try to get busy, move your body on Saturday. And I forgot to even talk about the tarot card for the week, or of the week. The tarot card that pops out for this week is the Chariot. And when I looked at this card, I thought about life moving on with or without you. So like, to me, it made me think about our fears. Like, you can either allow it to hold you back and not move on with your life, not do anything with your life, or you can overcome those fears and say, F you fears, I'm about to do this shit anyway. Like, you can overcome those obstacles, those fears. Don't allow anything to hold you back. I had a conversation with my dad. My dad is, this is actually making me think about my dad, because, my dad, he didn't, or you don't know, but my dad, he did not, do much with his life. He stayed in one spot, one town, pretty much. He went to boot camp, went back home. He did the National Guard, and that was pretty much it. Never did anything else after that. Just worked one job his whole life. That job did not appreciate him. He has nothing to show for it. He was there his whole life, did a damn good job his whole life, gave his all his whole life, and have nothing to show for it. Was not able to do anything he wanted to do, or did not do anything he wanted to do because of fear. He told me that I offered my dad to come and live with me when I was living in Texas. And he told me, no, or he actually said he would think about it. And then he was like, I don't know. And then he kind of told me that it was like a pride thing. And going through what he went through this eclipse season, I talked to him this week, and he said, it was because I had been, and I had been home my whole life, and I was afraid to leave. And he said, now I look back at it and I wish I would have left. I wish I would have took your offer. And he looked back at his life. He's like, I wish I would have did more. This is the chariot, y'all. If you ain't learned anything, if you haven't heard my dad's story, if you haven't learned anything from my dad's story, is what I'm trying to say. Learn this. Life goes on with or without you. Whether you have fears or not, it's going to go on. Life is going to life. The things that you are afraid to do, somebody going to do it regardless. So do it. Live your life. Follow your heart. What was grounding the chariot um was the Knight of Cups, a very heartfelt card, an intuitive psychic card. The Knight of Cups. Follow your heart. The Knight of Cups is he's an emotional knight. He likes to follow his heart, his intuition. He's psychically led, intuitively led. Follow your heart. Fight your heart. This entire life is about fighting your heart. If you love something, do it. Be vulnerable. Too many people are afraid to have relationships because they are afraid of getting hurt and afraid of being vulnerable. Baby, let me tell you something. That is life. That is some of the most beautiful lessons you are going to learn and pass on as wisdom in this life. Okay? Being hurt and being vulnerable. So be vulnerable. The Scorpio moon is a vulnerable moon. Be emotionally vulnerable. The Scorpio moon, no, I don't trust anybody. But one thing is, I'm going to fight my heart and try and trust every time. And it's probably going to get me hurt every time. Maybe not. Hopefully it doesn't. But I'm going to follow my heart because that is some of the best life that I have lived, following my heart. And that's something that I wish my dad would have done. I'm about to end this episode because I'm about to start crying. I wanted to talk about pop culture and some predictions, but I'm not going to get into it this week. I do have some predictions. I do think something, you know what? Let me get into it because it's going to stop me from crying. I think Diddy's about to get indicted. I do think Beyonce is going to speak up soon about the Palestine issue, but I think people are not going to know how to receive her. But I really hope that she does, and I really hope that it's genuine. Like that's all I can hope, and pray for. I can only know my own heart. I can't know anybody else's heart. I hope I'm saying that right grammatically. I'm from Louisiana. We talk in cursive. But I can only know my heart. I can't know anyone else's heart. I can only, try and fight my own, try to trust them. That's all I can do. But y'all, I'm gonna end the episode right now. Oh, I want to say this too. I'm probably gonna do a crime episode. I know y'all love that. It's weird. I don't know why. I mean, I kind of do, kind of don't. Scorpio moon, I kind of do, kind of don't. But I'm gonna do like a crime episode. I really want to do that because I've been looking at a lot of dark energy. I have been looking at, with the whole Sade Robinson case, I have been interpreting or observing her chart, observing her killer's chart, observing other victims' charts, other killers' charts. And I kind of want to talk about some patterns and parallels that I've been finding, and I want to help people with those placements. So I do plan on doing an episode about that soon. But yeah, sorry if this episode is all over the place, y'all. I tend to be all over the place. Honestly, I need like some co-hosts. I didn't want to do that, but I do need co-hosts. I need to like open myself up to that too, because that's a vulnerable spot for me as well. Opening myself up to having like coworkers and things like that, because I have like a really difficult past, or yeah, past with my coworkers and like places that I've worked. So that's a soft spot or a vulnerable weak spot that I'm working on. But yeah, sorry if this episode is all over the place. I hope this full moon is emotionally healing for you. And I really hope that this month ends on a peaceful note. Like I can only hope for peace. I'm one of those like peaceful bitches, y'all. Like one of those peaceful people. I'm trying not to curse too. I'm trying to work on it. Um, I really just want people to like love each other more, and I just want the world to be a happier place, because I feel like it's just filled with more darkness than it is happiness. I'm not saying that happiness and joy and good things aren't in this world. What I'm saying is it's not balanced. And that's what I'm really asking Beyonce to do, girl. Balance this, because I'm tired. We're all tired. I know you're tired. Like, let's do better, y'all. We are on this planet together. We have to share it, whether we like it or not. Like, death is something that we cannot escape, but at the same time, we do not have to see it as much as we do. And I just want our babies to be safe. I want everybody to feel safe at the end of the day. I don't even feel comfortable going to the grocery store, y'all. I used to love going to the grocery store as a little girl. I don't like doing it no more as an adult. Like, it's scary, y'all. Like, life is scary right now. And I blame so much of the media and like what we have been seeing in movies. Like, when I was a little girl, I'm going on a tangent, but this is the last thing I'm gonna say. When I was a little girl, I remember the monsters being non-fictional. So I remember the monks is if not no it's the monsters being fictional, not non-fictional, fictional characters, like sci-fi, like Darth Vader and the type shit, like I remember them being what Freddy Krueger and shit like that, like fictional characters. Now the monsters are our relatives and like strangers in grocery stores or people going to movie theaters and doing random shit in children's schools. Like, it's just weird. And I really am I'm asking not just Beyonce shit, the world, the world to balance the Venus within their lives. We have Uranus in a Venusian ruled sign right now trying to get our attention. And it's asking us to balance that Venusian energy, balance that consumerist energy, balance that hedonistic, that indulgent, that I like to party, I like to have fun, I like to do it. Balance that. If you like to do that more than you like to see joy in the world, balance that, okay? Last thing I wanted to say. But yeah, I hope this full moon is healing, and I hope that you are able to live your life following your heart more than your mind trying to make sense of everything. But until next time, peace.